Hi, this is Polly, and this is a response video to somebody named Kate Basta, and it's a fair question. It wasn't put as a question. Actually, I'm going to read her quote. It's a damn shame that drug addicts, such as yourself, abuse our medical system. Have you ever thought about the fact that you're taking up resources that other people actually need? In every single video, you bitch and complain and play the victim. Nothing is ever your fault. You truly need to grow up. Alright, kudos on you for getting into my head. Thank you. Good job. But it isn't really hard, okay? So you're not accomplishing anything great, let me tell you. I do have an answer to your... Not really a question, but I do have an answer anyway. The only reason that I am complaining is because I've been complaining since I was 12 years old, and I've never been able to get help. I've never been able to find help. And I'm desperate to get help. I'm going to be 50 next year. 49 this year, 50 next year, and I want to get all of this pain resolved, and I have nowhere else to turn but here. This is the only place I have to turn, okay? So why... I don't know why, if you're annoyed by my videos, you don't just click off and go somewhere else. Why you have to comment on something and accusing me of being a drug addict. I don't even know where you're getting that from. I was accused of being a drug addict. But the only thing that makes me guilty is an accusation, because I have never abused drugs. I tried marijuana once in my 40s. I had never tried anything before. It didn't work. I've never been high in my life. I have never abused anything. I've never abused alcohol. I've never abused medication. I've never abused drugs. I've never done any of that. I have been accused of it, which started this whole chain of things that just snowballed my life into this you are a really wonderful person, you know? It's great. Really, really good character to pick on somebody whose depression is so severe that they can't get a handle on it. And why is it that I don't deserve medical treatment? Is it because it turns out my heart was fine? Because I wouldn't have known that if I didn't get treatment. How would I have known that? This is the reason that this is so upsetting to me, is because this is the attitude that I run into all the time. This is how people treat me all the time. And most of these people are within the mental health system themselves. I mean, do you work in the mental health system? Or do you know me personally? Why would you even make such accusations? You know, the reason that it seems like I blame everything on everybody else, and I know it seems like that. And it's kind of true, because, in a way, from the time I was 4 years old, I was dubbed lazy. I was labeled lazy in my family, and my family would tell me things. You're a horrible little girl. You're terrible. You're a bad little girl. You're naughty, you know. And I grew up with the worst self-image. I believed I was just inherently bad. In fact, it was such a became such a part of me that I lived under the assumption that I was never as good as anybody else. And I believed that up until like 10 years ago, when a friend of mine said, all right, I want you to look at that situation, and I want you to look at how everybody in it behaves. We were talking about my family. Look at how everybody's behaving. Because see, I have believed that I am so bad that I have spent my life trying to do good, trying to be good, trying to achieve whatever it was that my family, and then later the world, told me or held up to me as the behavior that I needed to attain. I have spent my life trying to be good enough. In that process, I have become extremely aware of my behavior. So things that I did that were bad, I stopped doing. I truly have tried to do things perfectly so that people could stop saying that I was a bad person, so that I would stop feeling like I was a bad person. So the last decade of my life, when my friend had me look at this thing with my this behavior in this situation with my family, look at each person's behaviors, and when I really stood back and looked at it, at that point, it was always the same. My brother would insult me, or my brother would antagonize me. I would start to get angry. I wouldn't get angry. I wouldn't like display anger yet. It would show on my face because I walked on eggshells around him. I always tried to be good. I became pathologically good. I am stuck in this pathologically good state, trying to just be good enough. Trying to find whatever it is that people say I have to be, or what maybe the universe deems good. I don't know. But it's definitely pathological in me now. Which is why I never drank. I never did drugs. I never smoked a cigarette. And I wouldn't even have sex. I refused to have sex because I was afraid it would make me bad. I was afraid that would make me bad. It was a long time before I ever finally gave up on that. This is the attitude I fight all the time. People calling me a drug addict, assuming I am because of that psychiatrist. It was a psychiatrist who set this whole thing in motion. And you know what? It wasn't my fault. There were things that were my fault in life. There are things that are my fault in life. But, like, when I was in chorus, our director, I really liked our director. She and I kind of both broke down about the same time, and we were both like spiraling out of control, and I always regret this, because I got so irritated with her, like, kind of nasty comments, but she made them to everybody. Nobody else did well, they did too, but this report card was conjured up, a report card where everybody in the chorus would give feedback on things, and I was on the board. I was on the board of directors at the time, and we were asked to fill out this, to answer all these questions first. We were the guinea pigs. We were promised that our answers would never be seen. It was promised. Nobody will ever see this but the two women who headed up the team. And I imagined that probably the president would too. Just maybe they even said that. But the thing about that report card was, it was a way to get that director out. Everybody was so annoyed by her kind of condescending comments and everything. And I was too. That I still liked her. She and I were friends. But I betrayed her. I feel horrible about that. I mean, I really did. In fact, the stuff that I put in there, which I couldn't help, I was so angry. I mean, I was so angry, I didn't, how do I say that? The way that I word things is just like doubly sharp. And when I realized that they were going to use these, they were going to print them, and they were going to give a copy to her, these things, including what the board members had put, which was sworn, this is never going to go there, right? Nobody's ever going to see this. But they used it to their advantage, and they used me, and I let them. I was party to it. I was just guilty as anybody. And those things hurt her so much. Terrible things were said, and the way it was laid out to make it look like things said by one person were said by multiple people, by separating paragraphs. What they did, what we all did to her, it was a way to get her out. It was a way to bully her out of the chorus. I was a part of that. And I feel guilty about it to this day. I am not a perfect person. I am not probably a good person. I don't even know. I try so hard to be good. I do. I try to do everything right. But it seems to be the only person in the world. It's like it's become pathological to me. It's almost like I can't help it now. By the way, I did apologize to that woman, and we still were friends. But it doesn't make me feel any better. I feel guilty about that more than anything else in there, because usually I kept myself in check, I usually do. I always try to consider other people's feelings. I don't sling the arrows back that other people sling at me. I don't. When that girl who wanted to be friends with me and wanted me to, who I met on here, and she wanted me to email her, and she wanted me to Facebook her, and she wanted me to, write her and send snail mail. She actually sent me something. I mean, I wanted to do that, talk on the phone. We did talk on the phone. I tried to do those things, but I disappeared. That I cannot help, and nobody can see inside my head to understand that. Nobody can see that going on inside my head, so I'm tired of people telling me it's not happening, because they're not in my head. But, when I couldn't meet her demands, which is what they were, I mean, she knew how much I struggled. Okay, so this is turning into a complaint. See, all I'm saying is she slammed me in this email that just devastated me. Absolutely devastated me. Like, I was supposed to be able to function outside of the things that in ways I was unable to function. She expected it, and when I didn't meet that, she slammed me this email. I never responded back. I wanted to. I wanted to slam her back. But I couldn't. Because I didn't want to hurt her. Because I wanted to be better than that. I want to evolve into something better than doing what the rest of the world is doing. And just being in the 99% who just continue the hate. There's so much hatred in this world, I don't want to be part of it. Only, when I was in 7th grade, before 7th grade, I was picked on. I was bullied. I was picked on. I was very quiet. I was already convinced that I was a bad kid. I had no self-confidence. Then In 7th grade, I made a friend, and having two of us together, I mean, we had the confidence to become bullies, and I was a damn fine bully. I was a really good bully. There were two girls. There were two girls in junior high school whom I bullied viciously. I mean, I was really good at it. You know, when I committed to something like that, I was good at it. I really hurt them. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. When I did that, people left me alone. Nobody bullied me then. I understand that life works that way. I could write something scathing back to this Kate Bosta person. You know, maybe I am lashing out at you, but I don't want to lash out at you. I don't want to hurt you because I don't want to be the kind of person who does that. You know, I contacted one of those two girls from 7th grade whom I bullied, and I did my best to apologize to her, and I can't take back the harm that I did to her, and I did cause her harm, but I can't take it back. There's nothing I can do to take back all that harm that I put into her. The other girl died when she was 32, so she died with that, with everything I did still inside her, everything I did to her, all the stupid, not funny, mean things that I said to her, still inside her. Not that I could have taken them back. I wish I could have. But, and I wish that people who had hurt me could take back the stuff that they say against me. I wish that they could even care, really, honestly. Yeah, I know. I just seem like a victim, and especially now, you know, because I'm all upset. Yeah, good job. You win. You win. This attitude toward me has prevented me from getting help all these years. In my 30s, I tried to get help for whatever was wrong with my brain in my 30s. And I was taking Adderall at the time. I was taking that for attention deficit disorder, which I don't think I have, but we thought maybe that was it then. But whenever, you know, I started having hallucinations, I started losing time. I was really having an awful time, and my brain was so impaired that I didn't realize it was the Adderall causing it. For a long time, I had no idea. So I was desperately trying to get help, but instead of helping me, people, the doctors, the mental health places, any place, they just looked at me like I was trying to get out of working. I was trying to work. I went through vocational rehabilitation, because I wanted to get a job, but I needed them to be there kind of as a buffer, because, you know, I kept getting in trouble on jobs when I would zone out, when I wouldn't remember my customers and offend them, when I couldn't see things that were right in front of me. This all happened. You know, when I would forget things, I would get in trouble on jobs, but I tried so hard. I always tried so hard, and I always had such a good attitude. So I tried to get vocational rehabilitation to help me find a job where they could, you know, just buffer things a bit with me and my employer. So in order to qualify for their services, I had to be diagnosed. So they sent me to a neurologist, and the neurologist, he did nothing. He had me stick out my tongue and say, ah, and he used one of those mallets on my knees to make sure that I still had reflexes, which I did, but I suspected that maybe my problem was from an open head injury, which I have a scar about 2 inches long right here, an open head injury from when I was 4. asked him about that, and he says, "Oh, I don't see a scar. I can't feel a scar." Well, I can feel it right now. It's indented here, and it's not like that on the other side. But he just told me I was fine. And when you aren't fine and somebody tells you you are fine, especially somebody who's the authority says, "No, she's fine," there goes that help. Voc Rehab was like, "No, I'm sorry, we can't help you." I don't know why he couldn't find that scar, or why he said he didn't feel it. So then my friend came to see me, and I was going back. I knew I was going in another place to try and get help. So I had longer hair then, but I actually lifted up the upper level of my hair, and I had her shave my head underneath the scar, because I wanted to make sure that this guy I was going to see would see the scar. He would be able to see it and couldn't say, "No, that's not there." But you couldn't tell that my head was shaved unless I lifted up my hair, and then you could see that my head was shaved, and he could see the scar. I went into I was going to the ER, but I was desperate to get help. I had checked 29 books out of the library on the brain, and I was trying to figure it out myself. What was wrong with me? What was wrong with me? Why was I losing time? Why couldn't I function at all, And it was worse than ever. But he came over, and he was nice to me until I lifted up my hair and showed him where I had shaved my head, where the scar was, and he just walked away, and loudly in front of the entire ER, including all the other staff and all the other patients, he said, "That woman is a lunatic." It may have been weird, but it was desperation. I was just desperately trying to get help. I went to a church affiliated, Baptist I believe, but church affiliated free clinic. I went in and I talked to him about all these symptoms I was having. And this was all during the same, within the same year or whatever. I had 2 car accidents. I didn't get hurt in either of them. One of them was with another car, and one of them I hit my house. I blacked out. I started to turn into the driveway, and that was the last thing I remembered, except for my dog's paw kind of going like that. And I skinned up the stucco. Actually, it was my parents' house, because I was living with them then. And I told my mom I was really upset that I blacked out, but all she cared about was that I skinned up the stucco. She wouldn't speak to me. I was just all alone. I was all alone in this, trying to figure it out. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody down there. So I went to that free clinic. The guy sat and listened to my entire story, through the whole thing. And I was in my early to mid-30s, I think, then. And I wasn't through Voc Rehab then. I was just trying on my own to get help. And so I told him, everything, all the symptoms, everything I was going through. And he said, "Well, how did you get here today?" And I said, "I drove." And he said, "Well, where did you get your car?" And I said, "My parents bought it for me." They had bought it for me 12 years before that. It was an old beater of a car. But he didn't know that. He asked me, "Where did I get it?" I said, "My parents got it for me." And he said, "Well, you don't need my help. You can just have your parents pay for you for the rest of your life." And he got up and he walked out. Nobody has been willing to help me. That was then. That was in my 30s. I'm still trying to get help for whatever's wrong in my brain in my 40s. And it's worse now. The thing I didn't tell, I was going to tell, I guess I'll tell it now, but the thing that happened to me at the hospital that wasn't good, although we joked about it, this hospital stay was very pleasant, but the thing that happened to me that was, being around other people, it keeps happening now, and I'm really concerned about that. My heart's okay, so I'm not worried about that, but I still have to figure out what's wrong with my brain, why I can't function, why I can't keep memories of things, what's wrong with me, I mean, I've had these problems my entire life, but people expect me to override them. People expect me to just pretend like I don't have these brain problems. That's why I need to get help, so that I actually can be a part of life and meet people's expectations. so that they will stop, so that I can be a part of society. But I was at the hospital, and I had this really nice nurse, and she came in. What was the first one? She came in and she asked me if I'd had my blood drawn yet, and I said no, not yet. So she said, okay, well, they'll be coming in any time now. Well, she came back in a few minutes later, and she said, but so-and-so, whoever it was, had just drawn your blood like 10 minutes before I came in, and you said you hadn't had your blood drawn. And I said, I didn't realize somebody had come in and drawn my blood. Well, the girl came back in, and she told me that we had had a full conversation, which I have no doubt is true. People have been telling me this over the last year. Jamie kept telling me that I would have conversations with her, little arguments or conversations, positive or whatever, pleasant, but I wouldn't remember it. I wouldn't remember the things I said. I wouldn't have any recall whatsoever that we even discussed something. The women who came to tell me that came and evaluated me for the waiver program told me they couldn't help me, but they could put me in a nursing home and take my dogs. Those women, she told me that I had said that I would meet them there on Tuesday, that I had actually talked to her on the phone, and I'm like, I never talked to you on the phone about that. I never did, and I don't think I would have even said that was okay. She insists that we had a conversation that I don't remember. 3 times, and this is, unless I'm forgetting some, 3 times the nurse came in at this hospital thing and told me, the last time it was, I asked her, when is the doctor when am I gonna find out if my heart is okay? She said, the doctor was just in 5 minutes ago. Well, I did remember that I spoke to the doctor, but I had no memory of her telling me that things were okay, and they were suddenly dismissing me, which was why I'm like, okay, I'm okay, I guess. But I had no memory of that. And there was another thing in the middle of it. It just happened like 10 or 15 minutes earlier also, and I had no memory of that. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there is something wrong with me, and I feel like I do have a right to try and get medical help. This is legitimate stuff that I've been fighting my whole life. But I have to fight it all alone. While people tell me that it doesn't really exist and that I'm really just being bad and I'm really just being a horrible person, or I don't even know. I don't know what they think, but that's all. I wanted to respond to that because so many people say those things to me and act that way, and it's that very attitude that prevents me from getting help. That there's nothing wrong with you and you're wasting medical resources. I'm one of those people who actually needs help. I'm one who needs help desperately. But people always, they always, put their own ill intents on me as if those are mine, and they're not. They're not. I just want to get help. I just want to be able to move forward. When I hit 50, I want this to be done with. I want this to be behind me. I'm trying to get this out. Sometimes I still can't talk. After the last 2 hits, those 2 came real simultaneously, and I couldn't talk again. I've spent the last few months just not able to communicate, not able to reach out until until the last couple of videos on here. I'm really just trying to get help. And I have proof of these problems, but there's never been a point where anybody has been willing to review it, to look at it, to listen to it. I just keep collecting it, hoping someday somebody will let me prove to them what's been going on. So, I don't know, I just don't know from day to day whether I'm gonna be conscious or not conscious, or if I'm gonna disappear, if I'm gonna, I just don't know. And So I do need help. It's like the loneliest feeling in the world to have to go through this all alone, while pretty much everybody tells you it doesn't exist. And the reason that I complain like everything's everybody else's fault is because because my intent has become so pure. Because people have been accusing me, and because I've accused me, and now I'm like at the point where I try to do everything right because I just can't bear to be bad, morally bad. I just can't. I can't. And it's like a sickness almost. I don't know. I really think that there's something much worse going on with my brain than there ever has been. I sit down to watch a TV show, an hour-long TV show. It takes me like 4 hours just to get through a TV show that's an hour long because I have to constantly stop and rewind because I can't pay attention. I can't focus on things. My emotions are so out of control. Unlike ever. So that's my answer to Kate Basta. I'm not gonna sling the arrows back at you that you slung at me. I'm just not. Because I don't want to be like that. 99% of the world is like that. We don't need any more people like that doing that. So that's why I'm just trying to become a positive. I'm trying to do something for society and become somebody that helps society. You know, I'm in my midlife crisis now. I just want to do something that matters. I'm trying so hard to do something that matters. But I'm spending all my time fighting against bullies, all my energy fighting against bullies, and I just can't, you know, I don't know. That, I have something written down here. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that. I'm trying to tap into an inner strength. I'm trying to find it so that in my 50s, I can be a positive force for this world. You know, I can do something good. Something for people who have been suffering like I have. I have no idea how to do that. But I'm trying to find some inner strength, which I'm not even sure is there. And, so before I die, I have done something that matters, that's made this world better. That's my goal. That's where I'm at. So, that's it. That's all I have to say.